Today I'd like to talk about digital evangelism, specifically short-form content. And I'd like to cover 3 points with you. The first point is a simple introduction. I want to talk about how I got into digital evangelism and also why you should get into digital evangelism as well. And then we're going to go into the actual creation of the video. But in order for us to create that, there are 2 components. You need to first write your script, and then you should also be able to create the video. So these are the 3 points we're going to be covering today. And I want to start off with a simple introduction. I started off with digital evangelism about 5 years ago when I started a YouTube channel. It was called Ezra Hub. And this YouTube channel was designed to basically be vlog style and to create short stories with devotionals in them. And it was an exciting experience. It is at this time that I was able to learn how to do videography. I was able to learn how to edit videos. And I didn't go viral. It wasn't an amazing, it wasn't that successful of a channel. I had about 60 subscribers and maybe 5 or 6 videos that had about 500 views each. And so it was just a learning experience for me. But I got too busy with school. I started to be too busy with work that I kind of put that on a pause. And so for several years, I didn't do anything with digital evangelism. Well, after several years passed, I moved here to the Central California, and I was working with my associate pastor one day, and we came up with this idea. We thought, hey, let's do something a little bit different in our church. Why don't we start doing digital evangelism? There are a lot of young people, there are a lot of adults who are constantly on their phone. This would be a great way for us to engage with our church members and just the public in general. And so we kind of challenged each other. We said, hey, let's go ahead and try to produce at least 1 video per week. And to be honest with you, it started off as a joke, but then it became very serious. We started to get really deep into learning about equipment, learning about how to create videos. And so we started making videos together. I remember the first video I created, it was very simple. There was no background music. There was not a lot of post-editing done to the video. I just released it. And it was amazing because I started to see that the numbers of viewers were growing to the point where I got at least 7,000 views. And I remember when I saw that result, I was thinking to myself, hey, this is powerful. God can really use this tool. And so I thought to myself, let's just keep doing this. Let's keep producing videos. And so I got to my 4th video, created that. I put a little bit more time and effort into the post-editing. And after I released the video, this was my first viral video. It shot up just within a couple days to 16,000 views, and now it's about at 17,000. And that really shook me. I was thinking to myself, wow, this is incredible. God can really use digital evangelism. And so I've been trying to do this for the last several months. I've launched a channel called Manna Up, and I've been producing videos not only on Instagram, but also on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And I counted a couple days ago, my reach so far has been 100,000 views across all 4 platforms. And I really praise God for that. This started off with a simple idea, and I told you, it started off as a joke, but God blessed, and I've been seeing the results, and I just truly thank God for helping lead my associate pastor and I to this ministry, digital evangelism. And recently I joined a academy. It's called the Digital Academy with Justin Koo. And so I've been in the process of learning more about digital evangelism. And so I'm here today, not coming to you as an expert in this field, but someone who is passionate about digital evangelism. And I'd just like to share with you some principles that I've been learning along the way. But digital evangelism is, or getting into it, is like standing on a cliff and just about to jump into the water. Cliff diving, right? When you're about to jump off a cliff into the water, you might have all these questions going through your mind. The fear fills your heart. You might worry about what might happen next. And you might even come with several excuses as to why you shouldn't jump. I know that was my experience when I was just about to start digital evangelism. But what are these excuses that we tend to come up with? Let me just share with you 4 common excuses that I hear pastors and adults or youth share with me that prevents them from moving forward in digital evangelism. And these are some of the excuses I actually said myself. The first is failure. There are some who are afraid to get into digital evangelism because of failed experiences in the past. Maybe they've attempted it in the past and it didn't work out. Or perhaps it's even the fear of failure. But I just want to share with you that there is nothing to fear, especially when God is leading you, when God is calling you to do something, you have nothing to worry about. He will provide you the means, He will give you the confidence, the courage, and He will help you find success. And you know, what is failure anyway? Sometimes people say failure is when I produce a video and I only get 10 or 20 or 30 views. Well, let me tell you something. If you were a pastor or an elder or just an adult in the church and you were leading out in a church program, like a prayer meeting, and say, for example, you had maybe 5 members in that prayer meeting, and all of a sudden you have 10 more members just come out of nowhere, coming into the prayer meeting to pray with you, what would be your reaction? Would you say, oh no, that's just such a small number, this is a failure? No, you would actually celebrate. You would be like, wow, 10 people just came to my meeting to pray with me. And so friends, even if it's just 10 or 20 or 30 people that are watching your video, that's a blessing because that's 10, 20, 30 heads that are tuning in to what you have to say. Some people say, I'm too busy. I just have so much going on. I can't do digital evangelism. But what I want to say to that is actually short form content is designed for the busy person. Because really, if you get into short form content and you get good at it, eventually you're going to be finding that you can produce videos within 20, 25, 30 minutes and have it out there and people are being blessed by it. So being too busy isn't a good excuse. And in fact, if you are a pastor, if you're a Bible worker, someone who produces Bible studies on a regular, you can take that content and repurpose it for short form content. So it actually works out very well. Or even if you're not a church leader, even if you have, you have a different job, but you have daily devotions, you can take those daily devotionals and reproduce it for short form content. The other excuse is, I don't know enough. Well, you have to start somewhere. I didn't know so much about videography. I didn't know how to edit. But as I started to make videos, there was trial and error, and I was able to learn, watch tutorial videos, read a little bit more, and gain a deeper knowledge of digital evangelism. And if I can do it, you can do it too. The last excuse is, I don't want it to be about me. And I can understand that. That was a concern of mine as well. But what I realized is as I started to do digital evangelism, you can very much make everything about Jesus. It doesn't have to be about you. You can share maybe your weaknesses with people, your failures, and share that in your weaknesses, God is your strength. You can cause people to turn to Jesus rather than yourself. And I remember Justin Koo once said this. He said that at one point, truth became a person. Truth became a person. And, really that's what it's about. It's about the truth that you're learning. Have it become a part of your life. Help people to see truth lived out in your experience. And that's more powerful than just words, right? People are convinced about the gospel when they can see truth lived in their lives. So what is your excuse? If you go down the list and you really think it through, there's really no valid excuse for you not to be sharing the truth, sharing the gospel with others, especially with a powerful tool like social media. So let's get into script writing. In script writing, I just want to share with you a few thoughts. Before you make a video, it is important that you write a script. And here are a few reasons why. If you write a script, it will organize your thoughts. It will organize your thoughts. And it will help you be able to basically meet all the points or share all the points that you want to discuss. You want to cover all your bases, so to speak. It also helps you make your words concise. And this is important because when you're communicating, you want to communicate clearly. And lastly, it's going to save you a ton of time for you to have a script. There have been times where I've produced videos and I didn't have a script. But when you don't have a script, it's so easy for you to fumble on your words. It's easy for you to forget sometimes what you're trying to say. And so it's important that you have a script. Now, in script writing, some other points I want to share with you is that it is important for you to understand your audience. So before you write, make sure you have in mind who you're wanting to write to, who you're wanting to communicate to. And when you have that understanding, you'll be able to write a good script that is perfectly tailored for those individuals. Secondly, the script should consist of at least 3 components. And when you write a sermon or you write a Bible study, there are usually three components, right? There's the introduction, there's the body, and there is the conclusion. Well, it's the same when you're writing a script. When you're writing a script, you want to start off with a good introduction. An introduction that will captivate your audience. We like to call this a hook. It's either a statement or a question that causes people to be interested in what you're about to say next. After that, you want to get into your body. And in the body is where you want to address a felt need. This is really important because people will want to watch your video, they will want to read your script even, if they can find value in what you are communicating to them. And so in the body, make sure that you are addressing a felt need. Lastly, for the conclusion, you want a call to action. You want them to make a decision on something, or you want them to do something about what you have said. And so these are the 3 components that you need to consider when you're writing a script: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Also, the content should be about 1 minute or less, especially when you're doing short form content, because when you're producing reels on TikTok or Instagram or any of these social media platforms, usually the reels are about 1 minute long. I know that nowadays they're allowing a little bit more than 1 minute, but actually the shorter the videos are, sometimes the better, because it causes people to tune in and repeat your videos often. And so you want to at least aim for 1 minute or less. Not only that, when you make your script, there is something I'd like to encourage you to do, and that is to make your script into a carousel. Now, this is an option for you, but a carousel is basically multiple graphics on one post. So if you go on Instagram, you might see a carousel or two where you just kind of scroll through different graphics or different pictures. That's a carousel. So you can actually turn your script into a carousel. And I highly recommend it because actually carousels are very effective. There are a lot of people who actually prefer to read than watch a video. So if you can give both options of a carousel and a video, it will do your channel much good. And so what I want to share with you right now is a script that I turned into a carousel. And in this script, I included all of those 3 components that I just shared with you, right? The introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And so here's the script, or the carousel. It starts off by saying, stop planning for the future. This is my hook. And the reason why I consider it a hook is because everybody likes to plan, or a lot of people, they like to plan for the future. Why? Because we want to have a bright future ahead. We want our plans to be laid out so we know exactly what we are doing. But for someone to say, stop planning for the future, it's kind of one of those statements where you kind of are taken back by it. And you might even wonder, what is this? Well, why is he saying that? What's the reason for this statement? And so it would cause someone to read the next slide, which is, consider Proverbs 16:9. A person plans his course, but the Lord directs his steps. So stop planning without first checking your plans against the will of God. Because as great as you think your plans are for yourself, God's plans are greater. And so the whole purpose of this post is to speak to those who love to plan, which is a lot of people. But what I'm trying to challenge them to think about is that when they are thinking about planning, to not neglect considering God and asking Him for guidance, asking Him for counsel, asking Him to to alter their plans according to his perfect will. Why? Because God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his ways are higher than our ways. So he knows what's best. And so what I'm trying to communicate through this post is to challenge people to bring God along in the planning process. And so this is the need I'm speaking to. People love to plan, but they want their plans to be good. But in order for that to be good, you have to turn to the good God who can make your plans right and perfect. And lastly, you want a call to action. And for this particular post, my call to action is in the last slide, where I call for people to either like the post or follow me if they find interest in what I just shared or value in the post I made. And the call to action can actually be twofold. It could be something like this, or it can be an appeal. It could be something where you challenge them to do something. Maybe I would challenge them to say, hey, or I would tell them, hey, when you're making your plans, make sure to spend a thoughtful moment in prayer, asking God for wisdom. That would be a call to action, if you will. And so you'll notice in my script, in my carousel, I have the 3 components there. Once you have your script, then you can move on to your video. And the video that I typically produce, there are various types of formats. The one I'm going to be sharing with you is speaking to the camera, just like I'm doing right now, speaking directly to the camera. And I want to share with you things that you're going to need in order for you to create a video, and just some principles to follow in order for you to be successful at that. So things you will need. Obviously, you're going to need a camera, right? Although it's important, it's good to have good equipment, don't get so caught up with the equipment, especially if you're just starting off. So a smartphone will be fine, or you can even use a DSLR camera if you have the means, or you have one. You can use whatever camera, but a suggested quality that you would want to have is one that can do 1080p. Not only that, you would like to have a mic if possible for better quality sound. But it is not necessary, especially if you have a smartphone and you're just recording yourself. You wouldn't need a mic in that instance. Of course, you're going to need a tripod because you don't want to be holding your hand out the whole time, especially when you're doing multiple takes. It's good to have a tripod that's solid and that can obviously be good to travel around if you're going to different locations. You also want a computer. A computer that can run really good software, especially because you're going to need editing software for your computer. And I just want to point out a few things. I use DaVinci Resolve because it's free, but it also meets my various needs. So it's a great program. If you have it, you will find it to be very useful. But not only is DaVinci Resolve out there, there's many other editing programs that you can look into, like Final Cut Pro, or use Adobe Premiere. Another program or software you can use is Descript. And it's also a great editing program that creates subtitles for you. And subtitles, by the way, are highly recommended because subtitles are helpful for your audience. Why? Because there are a lot of people who may watch the video, but may watch it without any audio. I know I do that at times, and maybe you do that too, where you just have it muted, but you're looking through the subtitles and you're still getting the message that way. So subtitles are highly recommended. And also, this is not necessary, but it is helpful to have a royalty-free music subscription. I currently use soundstripe.com, but there are many other services out there. Or if you want, you could just use what Instagram and TikTok allow you to use. And so, music is very helpful for the background. Now, in creating the video or recording the video, you want to make sure that it is in vertical format. Because vertical format is what you find on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube for the Reels specifically. And so you want to make sure that it's in vertical format for your viewer. And not only that, you want to follow your script word for word. And this is why it is important to have your script written out well, because this is what you're going to be using for your video. And so when you're using your script, you don't need to memorize it word for word, okay? You could do that if you feel that's the best way, but I don't memorize my script because it's just a lot to do. What I do is I just memorize it line for line. So for example, I will read the first line, I'll memorize it, and then I will look at the camera and I'll just recite it. So I don't have the whole script memorized, but I just at least remember that first line, and then I go to the second and then the third until I complete the script. And then when you recite a line, make sure that after you finish reciting the line, that you maintain you keep your eye focused on the lens for about 2 or 3 seconds. This will help with editing the video later. And so you could do that, recite a line till you finish it, recite the lines till you finish it, and then at the end of each line, make sure that you have your eye focused on the lens, so that way editing will be a lot easier. Okay, now we move into the transferring of the video to a computer for editing. As I mentioned, there are several different editing softwares that you can use, but when you get into the actual editing process, here's just a quick tip that I can share with you. Cut out all unnecessary pauses between lines. This should make your video flow as though you were not reading a script. And after you do that, you want to add background music. I usually like to add background music because it kind of makes the video a little bit more engaging rather than just hearing your voice the whole time. It's not a requirement, but it's something that I recommend, so that is an option. And make sure that your music isn't too loud because it shouldn't distract from your voice, because that's the most important thing. You want to be heard clearly and understood by your audience. And then after you do your video, after you render it, then you want to take the next step, which is to upload it to your social media, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, whichever one you like to use, or if you want to use all of them, you can. But after you upload it, make sure to add some sort of a caption explaining what the video is about. Sometimes people look at the caption first before they view the video, and then also include some relevant hashtags. Because people are searching, they're constantly searching for things, constantly searching for videos, and they sometimes search through hashtags, so you want to put some relevant hashtags there. And also, just want to mention this, both platforms, TikTok and Instagram, they have an option where you can add subtitles. So there's 2 ways you can put subtitles into your video. You can put subtitles through the editing process. You can burn it into the video, or you can just have the subtitles added through the social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. I know for sure those 2 platforms do that. And so once you upload it and it's out for viewing, then people can watch it and be blessed by it. And here I have a recent video that I posted using that same script that I shared with you. And I just want to play that for you right now, just so you can kind of get an idea of what short form content looks like and what you may potentially be creating soon in the future. Stop planning for the future. Our plans are never guaranteed. Consider Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. A person plans his course, but the Lord directs his steps. So stop planning without first checking your plans against the will of God. Because as great as you think your plans are for yourself, God's plans are greater. And so that's a sample video of one I produced. And it's been an exciting experience just sharing these videos and finding people interested in these videos. And not only that, they're asking questions, they're engaging with the video. This is what it's about, right? Connecting with people, engaging with people, and helping people experience Jesus. And so, friends, I would like to encourage you. Maybe you're there on the cliff, and you're thinking about whether or not you should do digital evangelism. I just want to encourage you to jump, to take a plunge, go into the water, so to speak, experience the ministry of digital evangelism, and trust that God will help you. And you're going to find that when you take that plunge, when you go into the deep, when you go into the water, you're going to find it to be an exhilarating experience. You're going to find it to be a joyful experience. And just like with cliff diving, when you jump in, you're just going to want to constantly go up the cliff again, to jump again, and repeat that process. It's going to be the same with digital evangelism. Once you taste it, once you experience it, you're going to want to continue to share the love of Jesus with people. With that said, may God bless you on this journey that you might be taking in digital evangelism. And I hope to be able to see your videos someday soon. Take care.